It's Thursday, the 24th, and we're reading Daniel chapter 7, verse 1 through 14. Please read with us. Our internet is not good.
Okay, I was waiting. There it is. Okay, hello everybody. Thursday. And I'm still at the camper. Beth at the box. And as always,
not good.
We are in that book there. We are starting it today. Daniel's faithfulness to God exile. Continued to serve God faithfully throughout his life, even when Babylon overthrew Persia. The leaders of the new recognized Daniel for his value as he remained God even when faced with death, and God blessed him for it and rescued him. Daniel recognized that the 70 years of exile God had spoken of through Jeremiah was coming to an end, and pleaded with God in prayer for the restoration of his people to Jerusalem. God heard Daniel's prayer. Are you attentive to God's will and fervently praying for it to come true? We are in Daniel chapter 7. Daniel's vision of four beasts. Daniel chapter 7, starting at verse 1. During the King Belshazzar in Babylon, Daniel had a dream of visions lay in his bed. Down the dream, and this is what he saw.
In my vision that night,
In my vision that night, I, Daniel, saw a great storm churning the surface of a great sea, with strong winds blowing from every direction. Then four huge beasts came up out of the water, each different from the others. The first beast was like a lion with eagle's wings. As I watched, its wings were pulled off, and it was left standing with
two hind feet on the ground, like a human being.
Then I saw a second beast. It looked like a bear. It was rearing up on one side, and it had three ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And I heard a voice saying to it, "Get up, devour the flesh of many people." Then a third of these strange beasts appeared, and it looked like a leopard. It had four birds' wings on its back, and had four heads. Great authority was given to this beast. In my vision that night, I saw a fourth beast, terrifying, dreadful, and very strong. It devoured and crushed its victims with huge iron teeth, and trampled their remains beneath its feet. It was different from any of the other beasts, and it had 10 horns. As I looked at the horns, suddenly another small horn appeared among them. 3 of the first horns were torn out by the roots to make room for it. This little horn had eyes like human eyes and a mouth that was boasting arrogantly. I watched as thrones were put in place, and the Ancient One sat down to judge. His clothing was as white as snow, his hair like purest wool. He sat on a fiery throne with wheels of blazing fire, and a river of fire was pouring out, flowing from his presence. Millions of angels ministered to him. Many millions stood to attend him. Then the court began its session, and the books were opened. I continued to watch because I could hear the little horn's boastful speech. I kept watching until the fourth beast was killed, and his body was destroyed by fire. The other 3 beasts had their authority taken from them, and they were allowed to live a while longer. As my vision continued that night, I saw someone like the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient One and was led into his presence. He was given authority, honor, and sovereignty over all the nations of the world, so that people of every race and nation would obey him. His eternal, it would never end. His kingdom would be destroyed. And now the comment of Daniel is not ordered chronologically. Daniel takes place in Daniel 5. At this time, Belshazzar had just been given a position of authority in 553 BC, and Daniel was probably in his late 60s. The first 6 chapters of Daniel present history. The last 6 chapters are visions relating mainly to the future. Daniel had a vision of 4 beasts, which each representing a world empire. This was similar to Nebuchadnezzar, which was in Daniel 2, which covered the political aspects of the empires. Daniel's dream depicted moral characteristics. These nations would reign over Israel, were evil and cruel. But Daniel also saw God's everlasting, indestructible kingdom arise for them all. Wings represent Babylon with conquests, whose lions have from Babylon's ruins. The bear, the lion, Medo-Persia. His mouth, the conquest of the 3 major. The leopard is Greece. Its window, the swiftness of Alexander Payne conquered to the civil Indians from 330 BC. The leopard's 4 heads are the 4 divisions of the Greek Empire after Alexander's death. The 4th beast points to both Rome and the end times. Many Bible scholars believe that the horns correspond to 10 kings who will reign shortly before God sets up his everlasting kingdom. These had still not come to power as John's vision recorded in the book of Revelation. Little horn is a future or the Antichrist. God is illustrated by the final end of all worldly kingdoms in contrast to his eternal. In the book of Revelation, John also recorded a vision of a scarlet beast that had 10 heads and 10 horns. The angel told John that the 10 horns were 10 kings. Basically, these would be 10 rule under the Antichrist. Then maybe it symbolizes the totality of the powers that would Antichrist. In John's Rome was the world power, would be powers. Whatever the of 10 kings, they would give their power to the Antichrist and make war against Christ and his followers. Here the prophecy shifts to the end times. This judgment scene is similar to the one that John saw. The ancient is Almighty God, who assigns power to kingdoms and who will himself judge those kingdoms in the end. The book of Revelation is a similar picture of God with angels surrounding his throne. John reported that there were thousands and millions. In other words, angels too numerous to count, surrounding God's throne and minister to and created by God, are spiritual who help his work on. His books were open refers to judgment. Revelation refers to this final judgment where the books were opened, including the book of life, and dead were judged according to what they had done, as recorded in the books. The book of life is the heavenly registry of those who had accepted Christ's gift of salvation. All believers' names are written in the book of life, and they need not fear judgment. Unbelievers, however, will be judged according to their works, but their works, no matter how good, will not be able to save them. Daniel saw God judging millions of people as they stood before him. We all must stand before the Almighty God and give an account for our lives. If God judged your life today, what would he say about it? How would you measure it against his will for you? We should live each day with the full awareness that we must appear before God to give an account of how we used our life. How will your life measure up? The slaying of the beast represents the fall of Rome. While this beast was destroyed, the other beasts were allowed to live for a period of time. The kingdoms, or their cultures, continued to be recognizable in some form. History did not end when God intervened with this judgment. The one, like the Son of Man, is the Messiah. Jesus used this verse to refer to himself. The clouds of heaven portray the Son of Man as divine. Throughout the Bible, clouds represent his majesty and awesome presence. God's glory appeared in the cloud at the giving of the law at Sinai. The book of Revelation also records Christ coming with the clouds of heaven. That was a lot of commentary right there, a lot to take in. So, I hope everybody has a glorious day, and we'll talk to you later.